that night, I went to play a tournament knowing I was going to lose, even though I was a much better player than my opponents. I had signed up with a lower-level partner. It had been a long time since the good players wanted to play with me, and this clearly limited my ability to compete. So I started warming up like I always did under the artificial lights, and when the match started, the very first ball I touched, which was a return, I hit it out. And the return is one of the easiest shots in the game. But I missed my next shot and the next one. I started making mistakes one after another. It was as if I couldn't feel the ball. I couldn't place it inside the court. Everything was off. The first set, we lost 6-1. And I was so angry. I wanted to destroy the racket against the floor. But worst of all, I was thinking, if I can't carry this match forward, my partner certainly can. So on the second set, I did something I had never done before. I stopped trying. I gave up. I started even missing on purpose, like telling my opponents, hey, you're not beating the real me. You're beating the version of me limited by my partner. So when the match ended and everybody left, I felt overwhelmed by a desperation I couldn't contain. So I sat in a little bench right beside the court, and I started crying uncontrollably. Because that day, I didn't only lose a match. Earlier in the morning, I had gone through one of the most painful breakups of my life. I was starting yet another relationship after several I had ended for different reasons that I couldn't navigate well. And this relationship was no different than the others in the beginning, with all the excitement and the rush of falling in love. But circumstances were different. There was a 20-year age gap between us, and we had kept it in secret. That same day, her parents found out, and they did not approve. They came to see me. Her mother looked me straight in the eye and said, "We want you to stay away from our daughter forever." At the moment, I did what I had done so many times before. I just lowered my head, I said I understood, and I walked away, completely shattered. So sitting on that bench, I felt like life had hit me with a 1-2 punch. I was a failure as a man, and I was about to be a failure as an athlete. As the lights shut off, something shut off inside me too. I'm Richy Bailey, and I'm a paddle coach. Paddle is a sport invented in 1969 in Mexico by a man who wanted to build a tennis court in his backyard, but it couldn't fit. So he built a smaller one, and he surrounded it by walls. This limitation became the innovation. But paddle has one absolute unbreakable law. It can only be played 2 against 2, which means you cannot win by yourself. This magnificent sport taught me something very simple. And it's, there are things in life for which 1 is not enough, and 3 are already too many. And I, even with a degree in theoretical physics, failed to solve the simplest equation ever created: 1 + 1. This failure led me to wake up the next morning with a deep sense of emptiness. I called my mother. She was at the supermarket, and just by hearing my voice, she drove for 5 hours straight from the supermarket groceries still in the trunk just to be with me. Seeing her there made me realize how broken I was, and I knew I couldn't continue to live like that. So some good friends suggested something I've never considered, and it's getting professional help, going to a psychologist. Making that call was more difficult than any match I've ever played. But I did it, and I ended up sitting in front of the man who would change the course of my life. "Why are you here?" he asked. So I told him about my breakup, I told him about the tournament, told him about the tears, how nothing made sense anymore. And to my surprise, he wasn't interested at all. He said, "Tell me about your life." Okay. So I grew up in a house where my father wasn't there. He was simply absent. And in my family, hardship is a competition. You can't be tired because someone's more tired than you. You can't be overwhelmed. Someone has it worse. You broke a leg, well, good news. You still have the other one. So when I sat in front of the therapist, I did what I have been trained to do my entire life. Show him I was fine. So I told him about my degree, my ranking, my music. I was showing a perfect 1. So the first sessions were very easy. I spoke and he would listen. He would sometimes even look impressed, like, wow. I would say, "Hey, therapy isn't that bad. I'm actually feeling much better." But after a month into therapy, as I kept auditioning for approval, during a small silence, he asked, "¿Y qué te falta? What are you missing?" The question left me blank. Before I could say anything, the second sentence hit even deeper. "Parece que falta algo de falta." It sounds like you're missing what's missing. I had no clue what he was pointing at. But something landed inside my chest. So I wanted to complain. I wanted to defend myself. And as I was going to speak, he woke up and said, "All right, I'll see you next week." So he wanted that sentence echoing in my head on the drive back home throughout the week and throughout my life. I stayed in therapy for a long time, and my life didn't dramatically change. But I was given a new set of eyes to look at it. I kept playing paddle, and one day I signed up for a tournament with this same partner I had blamed the night of my breakdown. When we checked out the draw, we saw we were playing the number 1 seeds. And when the match started, the pace was relentless. The ball was coming fast and heavy, and me, I could more or less manage, but I saw my partner, and he was struggling big time. He couldn't return their volleys or their overheads off the glass. And in between points, he comes to me and says, "Hey, Richy, your backhand volley's floating. Play it down the line, and I'll cover the center." Oh, my ego flared. Like, yeah, right, like I'm the problem here. But I remember that little silence in the therapist's room and say, "Hey, I might be missing something here." So when I had a chance, I went for the shot he asked for. He moved exactly as he said he would, and it worked. All of a sudden, we were synchronizing. I would go to the net, he would stay in the back. I would play fast, he would play slow. We were finding solutions to every problem, and we were 6-6 on the first set, with a 6-6 on the tiebreaker. A big crowd had gathered to see if this was going to be the biggest upset of the tournament. We lost that match. The number 1 seed took the win. But I walked off that court with a far more valuable lesson. I felt competitive again, And not because I play better, because I realized what I was missing. I was missing the ability to let another player complete me. You see, paddle is a dyadic relationship by default. I define a dyadic relationship, the one where two people intentionally complement each other in order to achieve one shared goal that benefits both of them. And the key word here is complement, which comes from to complete. And a sport that can only be played in pairs showed me something uncomfortable, which was that I wasn't as complete as I thought I was. And here's the thing, my deficiencies, when I'm by myself, they're very difficult to detect. They're very difficult. And when I'm in crowds, they dissolve. But when there's only two people, there is nowhere to hide. So when I say paddle saved my life, it's not because I won more matches. It's because it gave me the opportunity to look for what I was missing. Relationships between two people are statistically very, very fragile. And when I stand on a paddle court, I always see like a miniature version of this reality. Sometimes I think of a paddle match like a life fast forward. There are good moments and there are bad moments. So you got 90 minutes, two players that could ask themselves, what am I missing here? And if they decide to grow together, instead of protecting their perfect one, they will leave the court as better players, better partners, and better people. What are you missing? For the last 15 years, a simple question about myself led me from a little bench, crying, about to quit the sport that I love, to coaching the US national team in the World Championship. But this new perspective, the answers I find to that question didn't only change what happened in the court. Just this morning, I had a text. It said, "Good luck today. I'm very proud of you." It was from her. It was from the woman I was supposed to stay away from forever. We are still 20 years apart. We are now married and have 3 beautiful kids. In the past, there are certain reactions that would have been enough for me to leave the relationship. Now, they're invitations. Sometimes we're rushing out of the house with the kids, with the backpacks, with noise. Sometimes you might get stressed, and I might get a sharp comment coming at me. In the past, I would have shut down. Now I ask myself, hey, what am I missing? Maybe some patience here? Or she's sometimes dealing with some paperwork that she doesn't really understand, and she comes visibly insecure. That insecurity would have driven me crazy in the past. Now I ask myself, what am I missing here? Maybe some reassurance? When things get difficult, I always ask myself, what am I missing here that would allow us to move better together? This question changed everything. It gave me back my game. It gave me back my life. And eventually, it gave me back her. Thank you very much.